What is going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a good Wednesday. Bobby Fi here. Sheets is out today, so I'm going to be handling this stuff. It's too bad he's out because the guy wins freaking everything. Shout out to Sheets. Great job. Another win of he won the shot again. That's the second time in about a week winning the shot. He's got a couple seconds in there and on DraftKings the guy's been just crushing it. Also the monster, I think, too. So I really would advise you guys take a look at some of our packages now. As I mentioned before, they are going to go up very shortly. We are going to offer some different packages as well, but you'll be grandfathered into everything. Anyway, I just think it's worth taking a look. We've been obviously doing incredibly well this year, and I think we have some unique offerings partnered with SaberSim that I think some other people just don't have. So hopefully you guys can take a look when you have a chance. Also, when you watch this video, please give us the like and subscribe. We're doing these for free, these first look and the live before locks, and we want to make sure that we at least get something going out of it because we could use a few more likes on some of these videos. Anyway, let's get into it. We're going to go game by game here, just as through a first look perspective. There's obviously going to be a lot of news for a day like today. We've already got stuff in Portland. We've got, I don't know what this projection is exactly. I think it's kind of bogus, this Avdia projection. I actually like Avdia a lot here back in Washington. But I don't know about this. I mean, I want to refresh actually a little bit because the median at 39 feels a little bit high. This is just what I ran in my first builds without really doing much and running the Sims. And I don't know that I'm going to end up with this much Avdia. I really do like Avdia tonight, but this feels like a little bit of a high projection, the 39. Anyway, it is what it is. I still think he's a good play. I'm curious to see where the ownership ends up. And as you can see, it's a little bit early in the day, so we don't have all the ownership figured out just yet. Afternoon to Andy and everyone in the chat. Say what's up when you get on in here. We appreciate it. Scoot also with a reasonable projection. It's obviously a great matchup for Portland, and we're going to be able to run some stuff back on the other sides. But this is what I've got for right now. I'm not going to end up with this much Avdia. I don't think I'm going to end up with 98% of anybody on this slate. But I certainly do understand. There might be one guy I end up with 98% of. I certainly do understand the matchup and everything. It just feels like a weirdly bold high number. I know it's going back to Washington. I like him in this game, all that stuff, but is he that much better of a play than Simons? I don't know that he should be, a full almost 6 points higher. But anyway, either way, I like him. On the other side, Washington, I love Sarr if he plays. If he doesn't play, I think we're back in the Rashawn Holmes, Vukcevic. I actually think I'd go for Vukcevic with the savings this time. He got in foul trouble last time early. And we've just seen it switch between those guys. I think they're both interesting if Sarr is out. If Sarr is in, Sarr is my highest level of interest. I don't really want this much Middleton. I'm probably going to drop this number just a little bit. I don't mind getting to some of it, but I don't think I need to have 20+%. We'll see by the time the slate locks. Obviously, things are going to be a lot different, but did want to make a few changes on what I saw. We don't really have anybody questionable over here. I also think this projection, I could argue that it might be a little bit low for Jordan Poole here. So I actually like Poole would probably be my second favorite along with Sarr. Well, actually, Poole will probably be my favorite, followed by Sarr. But I do think this is a game you're going to want to do some business in right off the bat. Of course, depending on what other injury news we hear later today. See, they're starting to get the projections down. And watch. Let's just take a look and see if I was right. See if they've already updated the Avdia thing. Because nope, it's still 39. All right. Well, we'll see. A lot of projection stuff coming in. Did I miss some new news? I'm just gonna take a quick look while I'm doing this because we do sometimes get the morning shoot around reports while we come on for this. Fontecchio out. That was 30 minutes ago though. Schroeder was okay. So that was all a little while ago. Anyway, some of the projections always can be a little bit wonky in the morning. So just something to keep it, take with a grain of salt. Moving over, Toronto and Indianapolis. Obviously a pace-up game. I worry about Toronto hanging in there. It's not ideal with all the guys available. I think you could talk me into definitely taking a shot on either Barnes quickly or Barrett. But I just think there's other plays I like better tonight. So as of right now, I don't think I'd be getting to much of them, even though I generally really want to go out of my way to try to attack Indianapolis as well as a few other teams, including Washington. So just for me on this slate, I'm just not finding myself with that much here. Halliburton and McConnell questionable. Obviously, that's important. But if all things stood right now, nobody who I have a wild amount of interest in this game personally. I certainly could understand some plays, but it's just it's a big slate. There's a lot of options. I don't think I need to go this. Robert says, yeah, good lineup last night, but Nurkic killed it. Yeah, sorry about that, man. I hope you guys did play. I mean, look, you didn't need Luka and everything because he ended up like, he just didn't make that many shots. He still put up 70 or whatever. And as I said, if I was playing yesterday, Luka would have been an absolute lock button. And I don't lock button players very often on big slates. And I didn't get a chance to play. It was my son's birthday. We had a terrific time. But anyway, just throwing that out there. All right, here's another one that I'm going to try to figure out here exactly what's going on. These projections feel off to me as well. I worry about Philadelphia being able to keep any game close, to be completely honest with you. God, look at all these projection updates. It's so strange to see Paul George with this projection after having like a 7-point higher projection in the last game. He got there, he just didn't get the minutes, and he also they were getting smoked, so he just basically got played out of it. But I'm just a little surprised. Oh, there it is. See, look, right as I say it, Paul George, boom, it bumps right up. So don't trust the very early, like it takes until about 10 a.m. They get solid, and then we get all the news. So it's constantly, the NBA is tough. You got to just always be ready to be changing things. Anyway, Drummond, I'm not sure if I agree with this projection. I know he had a good game the last time out. If he ends up starting, I will go for it probably. There's going to be other options as well at center that are really cheap that make a lot of sense. So maybe he doesn't get that much ownership, but this 1%, you could sort of throw those numbers out. With no Yabusele, with obviously no Embiid and everything, I think we do have to consider Drummond pretty strongly if he starts. If they start Adam Bona, I still think we have to consider Drummond. Kelly Oubre and Paul George, I probably am higher on these guys. The only thing, like I mentioned, and Maxey as well, I'm higher on all of them, but I do worry about this game staying close just because Philadelphia's, man, they're really bad. And I don't want to like overly predict the blowout, but this is a scary situation. They've been really bad. If this game does stay close, you can expect to see Kelly Oubre, probably Maxey, and Paul George, at least two of those guys, or Drummond. 2 out of those 4 are going to absolutely smash if this game stays close, is my opinion. I don't really see how they keep it close. Otherwise, maybe you could throw Quentin Grimes into the mix. A little Grimes revenge, but he's not that type of guy, not that type of player. Anyway, I'm going to have to revisit that one a little bit later today because it does worry me the blowout in this one. And on the other side, again, not really getting to a ton unless Karl Anthony Towns is out. Yeah, I guess this game is probably one that I have more interest in, and I'm going to have to figure out exactly what I want to do with it later on. But it's just going to be betting on Philadelphia staying close and then getting probably one of the Knicks because they'll play 1 million minutes. And I actually think my favorite Knick here would be Brunson. Because the center position is loaded, so I don't think it'd be hard to get to Towns, but Towns is in a great spot too. So either way, I don't think you can go wrong. There's just a lot of good options on this slate we haven't even gotten to yet. Boston, let's wait till it updates. No Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown doubtful. When the projections update, Jason Tatum is going to look really good. I love Tatum here. Kristaps, I don't know what to do on the back-to-back, but I think that Derek White is the answer for what I'm going to go for. So I'm going to bump up Derek White's projection, but I'm going to wait till they announce the new projection set with Jaylen Brown out because him as doubtful with this weird sort of hedging number. Actually, it looks pretty much like a normal number. But you're gonna see Tatum, Drew, White all look pretty good, and Sam Hauser is gonna look like good value at 3,800, assuming that they start him like they did earlier in the year. We'll see, of course, what happens with that. But as of right now, definitely have some interest in the Boston side and ignore the early projections. They just haven't figured out the Jaylen Brown thing yet. We'll have that obviously figured out well before lock. All right. On the Detroit side, and what was that I just saw here? I tried to lower some projections. I tried to lower Day'Ron Sharpe's projection. These were actually lowered projections, and then they dropped back up. I had Şengün projected at 53 at one point. I was like, okay, that's a little crazy. All right. Detroit side. Detroit has been awesome. I might go out and outright bet Detroit in this game. They've been winning everything, and I know the Celtics are great and all this stuff, but I actually think that there's some room for Detroit here to take advantage of this line. I think there's an excellent chance Detroit wins this game. Anyway, I like Cade, I like Duren, and then I like Thompson in that order, but nobody who's a priority for me. More of a fun real life game. Detroit has been really, really good for those of people who haven't been paying attention. Atlanta and Miami, Okongwu, low enough price, fair enough projection. I'm definitely going to have some of that. Trae Young, we just saw him in this matchup. He was terrible. My guess is he plays a little bit better tonight, but I don't know if I really want to go eat as much chalk. So at this moment, I'll probably be below the field on Trae. On the Miami side, the Kyle Anderson showing up. We'll wait to see if he starts. If he starts, I'm fine with it. If he doesn't start, obviously the projection will drop, and I might like to take a gamble on it. So I'm probably going to end up with some Kyle Anderson anyway. No Jovic for a while now. We have that opens up something. We've got Bam questionable, but there is a chance that this Anderson thing could be a little bit of sus chalk. Let's just wait to see who was starting lineup later. I don't know if we'll even have it before the first lock, but you'll have plenty of swappability later on if he doesn't start. And even if he doesn't, he's still got some value. I'm going to be lower on Wiggins in the field. I'm going to be, if Bam plays, I'll be above the field on Bam. I'll be above the field on Tyler Hero. I actually think that I'll probably be a decent amount above on both those guys. I'm not too interested in Davion Mitchell on this particular slate. It's fine, but it's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to get to Khalil Ware. No issue with it, but just not overly excited about it either. Moving over to OKC in Brooklyn, and what is pretty much likely to be a complete smashing. Nothing for me from OKC. If I had to pick anything, it'd probably be either Shea or Chet, but I think there's better plays in the slate. On the Brooklyn side, it's going to be hard to ignore this Day'Ron Sharpe thing. Look, so we have obviously, this projection still seems a little bit aggressive. Am I missing? What am I missing here? I mean, Claxton's out, obviously. Why is Claxton not listed as out, but he's got zero projection? Well, assuming that Day'Ron Sharpe does play and start, I think that we have to just go kind of roll with it. I'm actually going to default this to the original because now it's back to a normal number. I do like Day'Ron Sharpe quite a bit. I don't know that you have to play him in every lineup. I'm a big Day'Ron Sharpe guy in general. I've been playing him off the bench a lot this year, and I certainly have felt good about it. I also think, and I know it hasn't proven out yet, but I think I'd prefer Killian Hayes to like a Mitchell type of play. It's not exciting. I'm not loving it, but this is a place where you're going to be able to get some value. Zaire Williams has been good to me at zero ownership. It's kind of weird to play him as chalk. I like to get off these guys as chalk and play them when they're not going to be owned. But I think Sharpe and Watford are the two best plays here. Ignore my initial run projections because remember, I ran those before we even had all the projections in and ownership in. So things are going to change. But yeah, Sharpe and Watford would be the two biggest pieces for me there. Clippers in Chicago, huge pace-up game for the Clippers. Should be fairly healthy. Again, I mentioned it all the time. I said it the other night. He was great, but there's a lot of good center options. Zubac is one of them. I think the projections, you could argue it's a little bit low. I also like Kawhi at this number, and I like Harden. I just don't like him quite enough at 98 with everybody back. Not everybody. There's no Norman Powell, of course, but Bogdanovich a little too expensive for this. Dunn has been absolutely awesome, and this is a good matchup for him. The problem is those numbers were without Kawhi, at least in one of the games, but still there might be some room for Dunn here. Really want to try to attack teams like the teams playing the Bulls, teams playing the Pacers the same. It's just too good of a pace-up spot. And look, I keep doing this with Lonzo. I mean, he gets hurt mid-game. It feels like every game, and it's starting to get frustrating to me a little bit. So to play him as chalk when I've been playing him at low ownership feels a little funky, but my guess is by the end of the day, the ownership calms down on him. Maybe I look at him more as a pivot then. I like the Giddey play. Why don't we take another chance? Clippers are the second best defensive team in the NBA, but look, Giddey's had the usage. He's been really good. Giddey, Buzelis, I think those would be my favorites outside Alonzo. And other ones would just be stabs for me. They bumped up the price on Kevin Huerter. I don't expect him to just get red hot like he did the other night again, but you never know with him as a low owned option to contrarian value. Yeah, you could certainly consider it, but I'm not excited about it. Sacramento and Utah. I actually thought I would be getting to more here, as Utah is another one that you can sort of run it up on. I think Levine is a better play than the projections say. Levine and Monk project the same all the time. I still kind of prefer just taking Levine in these spots. I think it's a good spot for Sabonis. I actually might just bump him up just a tiny bit because another good center option at 9,700. I feel like this is a spot we'd want to take. It's just there's so many centers that I've mentioned. I'll go through it real quick at the end of this, but there's a lot of good center options on this slate today. So that's the only thing that's keeping me a little bit tempered down. Great spot for Utah as well against Sacramento. We've got John Collins Hendricks, Sexton, and Markkanen obviously out. Walker Kessler is questionable. He's possible to be out again. So we go back to the guys, right? We do have Clarkson back. Clarkson is obviously the most natural play. I think that Keontae George is an interesting contrarian play. And I think guys like KJ Martin, Bryce Sensabaugh, if Kessler's out, just because they're lower on bodies, as well as Zhu Zhang if he starts again, will all be back in the mix. But I always remind everybody with Utah, they play a lot of bodies, and it's tough with them to know what minutes are going to go. I did say Cody Williams was my sneaky one the other night from them. I wasn't able to turn it into cash, but Cody Williams absolutely smashed. And you just really never know who it's going to be. This Filipowski at 5,700, if Kessler's out, I wouldn't look, I wouldn't overlook that price. I think that's totally reasonable. Filipowski can absolutely smash here, even in a blowout. So I like the idea of some Utah, depending on what we hear about Kessler. San Antonio, I am just going to go ahead and say that I do not understand the projections on De'Aaron Fox. I think that he should be projected higher basically every day. I've been saying that every day. I'm just going to take a quick look at something with Fox. I've got another little cheat sheet that I'm looking at over here. Just look at the usage. The production may not have always been there, but the usage is very, very strong without Wemby, and there's a ton of upside, and it's not a great matchup, but I think I might consider going out of my way to get a little bit of Fox, just where I'm at right now. And we know my rule with Amen. He was playing great last night. And of course he ends up getting thrown out of the game. He was playing great. He was playing well. I shouldn't say great. Ends up getting thrown out of the game for basically assaulting Giannis. Assuming that he's good to go tonight, I actually think that we can go, and Tari Eason's out as well. I think we're going to bump this number up on Thompson quite a bit, at least to that 45 range. I think that, again, as long as Van Vliet's not there, and he's out tonight, and so is Tari Eason. I think we're going to see some Cam Whitmore, but Jabari Smith and Amen are going to be the main ones who are going to, I think, reap the benefits. So those would be my two favorites, along with Şengün. I don't think Şengün, I felt like at first his projection was too crazy. I don't mind taking a little bit of a contrarian stance. I think it's going to be one of Thompson, Green, or Şengün, but Green on a back-to-back jump shooter. I think Thompson, after getting thrown out last night, that might be my favorite play here. I might even end up with more of him than Şengün. Although, don't get me wrong, I do like Şengün. It's just a loaded center position to play a chalky guy at 8,500 when there's so many options in both the low and high range. And you'll see what I'm talking about right now when we get into it. You've got Day'Ron Sharpe. We mentioned the Drummond if you want to go double cheap. I forgot to even mention Klingon, by the way, and Klingon is totally viable at 5,300. Miles Turner, viable, but not as exciting. I like Okongwu. I like Zubac. Again, I like Şengün, but there's a lot of guys. I like Sarr, and I like Sabonis quite a bit. Bam, we could play a power forward. Watford, we could play a power forward. But Zach Collins even is another one that let me just double check something. I thought Vooch was out again, but maybe I read that wrong. I think he is, right? Are we wrong with this Collins projection? I think so. So I think Collins is going to look good also. So you're going to have your option of those 4K centers. For what it's worth, my favorites would be Sharpe, and I think maybe Collins. Close between Collins and Drummond. We'll see who ends up starting, and hopefully we'll know that. We won't necessarily know it before lock. But you're going to have three guys in the 4 to 4,400 range at center, and Day'Ron Sharpe's going to take up so much of the ownership, it's going to leave the other guys less owned. So I will go out of my way to play the other guys with Day'Ron Sharpe if I want to go my double spend down route. And then if you want to take the spending somewhat up route, I think it's the Zubac, Şengün, Sabonis tier. And then the mid-range, Sarr, Okongwu are both very strong. I think all of those options are very viable. I'm leaning towards the double spend down, but I actually kind of like the idea if it's going to be different enough to maybe double spend medium up, like as much as Zubac might have some ownership and Sabonis might have some. I don't think people are playing those together. I think they're playing one of them with the cheap ones. So it's an interesting thing you can do with your builds to try and get a little bit different by trying to either double spend up or double spend down. And it doesn't always work, but there are a lot of different routes you have today. Either way, it's a center and utility mostly for me at first look. Things can change obviously before 7 Eastern, but that's where I'm at right now. I appreciate all you guys. I want a reminder, please click the like and thumbs up. And another shout out to Sheets. What an incredible job winning the shot again. The guy is just crushing. I would encourage everybody who hasn't looked at our site to take a look. We have all the SaberSim offerings. all of Sheets' content, all of Brandon Cruz's content, all of mine, all of Goldie's projections, as well as Sheets projections, etc. Adam Perry's doing NHL for us right now, and he's going to be doing some other sports, coming up. We've got some brand new tools that we're launching in the next month before baseball season. It's an awesome time to get in, and the prices are going to be going up. So we would love for you guys to join us, and good luck to everybody. Hope you have a great day, and let's make some money. Good luck.